Hi everybody, Graven Craig, candidate for the Republican nomination for the newly created 59th House of Delegates seat, which is Western Hanover, Louisa County, and a little bit Henrico County. This is my Week 7 legislative update for the 2023 General Assembly session. As we talked in the beginning, this was a short session and they concluded the main session last Friday. And as I told you all on Facebook, we had a lot going on, so I wasn't able to do a video last Friday, but today is Monday, the 27th of February, so we're here shooting a video for you, kind of give you the information as best we can. I think the theme from this year's session is when you don't have control of both chambers of the General Assembly, it's hard to get any of your big projects done, and that makes it that much more important, that we win both houses this coming fall. So let's talk a little bit about some of the minor wins we had, and a lot of them had to do with firearms. And one bill that I hadn't brought up previously was HB 2467. This is a bill that amended the statute to allow people who have a firmly held religious belief against having their picture taken can obtain an ID from the Division of Motor Vehicles to have a driver's license. And the General Assembly, thankfully, passed a bill that allows people who would like to purchase a firearm but have a deeply held religious belief against having their picture taken from not being excluded from being able to defend themselves with a firearm if they wanted to own a firearm. So that was a good piece of legislation, and the governor, I'm sure, will sign that into law. The last week really kind of delved into the budget. I think everybody knows that there was a budget surplus of over $4 billion. And the two houses really couldn't come up with an agreement on how to deal with that surplus. And so they had a budget conferees were appointed by both sides. From the Senate, all Democrats; from the House, all Republicans. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come to any agreement on the budget surplus. They did come up with a few short budget ideas or budget items that passed both chambers last Friday. There are four things that they passed. One was a $200 million shortfall in the education system that needed to be corrected because it was an error. It wasn't anybody's fault, but they just didn't put enough money into the budget to cover those educational expenses that they had obligated themselves to pay. The second was $100 million to supplement shortfalls on construction projects in the Commonwealth. It has some certain criteria that have to be made in order for those payments to be made. Third was a necessary payment into the Virginia retirement system to make sure they properly funded the VRS, or the Virginia retirement system. And fourth was a statutorily required payment into the Virginia Rainy Day Fund. That was a significant piece that had to be paid in and was certainly necessary since the statute was passed. Do want to talk a little bit about the $100 million. As I read about that, it certainly struck me as interesting that the government certainly has the ability to authorize itself to spend more money, even if it has overruns, but private business certainly doesn't have that ability. They have to figure out where they're going to find the money. So we need to look into the details of that and basically make sure we hold our elected representatives accountable for those expenditures. I'm fairly certain Governor Youngkin's going to call them back into session to deal with the $4 billion surplus, and I certainly expect and I hope that our Republican leaders will fight very hard to get tax relief for all of our tax-paying citizens in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's only fair when you have a $4 billion surplus that you return that money back to the taxpayers because it's their money to begin with. So I want to conclude by saying, if you want to learn more about me or my campaign, please go to gravencraig.com. That's GravenCraig.com. You can also learn more about me on Facebook, and that's Vote Graven Craig on Facebook. And lastly, you can go to youtube.com/Graven Craig. This is going to be the last of the legislative session, but if they come back and for the budget, then certainly we'll be doing some follow-up videos on that. But you should also expect to see more videos from me regarding certain issues that I think are important, not only to the 59th District, but also to Virginians across the Commonwealth. I think we need to bring those issues to light, discuss those things. I also want to tell you more about the fighter that I am and why I am the best candidate to be your Republican nominee this fall. So thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. Thanks.